All right, hello, Math 10, Mr. Beeland here with your lesson for today. We're starting our new unit, and with that, I'm going to do it in a bit of a different format where I'm actually going to fill out the notes here and just go along with you. There's a lot of graphing involved in this, and I can't really draw a whole bunch of things on the whiteboard that are all straight, so I felt like it would be easier if I just kind of moved along with the notes with you. So, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see my face, but you will be able to come along with me and follow along on this worksheet. So here we go. So let's start off, right? So a rate of change, that's what we're talking about. And a rate of change is a ratio that shows how one variable changes with respect to another variable, right? So what happens when you change x, what happens to y, right? So on a linear graph, this is called the slope, and we can see kind of the slope right here. So slope is written as a ratio of the vertical change, and we call this the rise, with respect to the horizontal change, and we call that the run, okay, between any 2 points on the line. No matter where you are on the line, this slope is constant, right? The steepness of this line right here doesn't change no matter where you are on the line. So this slope is written as a fraction, and we always make sure to put it into lowest terms. And generally when we're talking about the formulas and stuff like that, slope is represented by the letter m. Okay? So slopes in general can be broken into 4 different types. Okay? So we've got one that if we have a line that goes like this, then that is a positive slope. And if we go this way, well, now it's a negative slope, okay? So you see how this one is kind of going, if we start from 0, 0, and we're going from left to right, it's going upwards, so it's positive. This one, if we're starting from over here and we're going from left to right, we're going down. Now, we can also have a horizontal line. And when you have a horizontal line, we say that the slope is 0 because it's not going up or down any. And then, if we have the horizontal line, our last one, it would make sense to be the vertical line. And if we have a perfectly vertical line, we call this slope undefined. There is no slope. It's just a drop, right? It's kind of like a cliff, right? There's no drop, so there's no way to really calculate the slope. Okay, so these are our 4 general types. So we're going to use this as our base for finding the slopes of the next questions. Okay, so again, our formula for m, finding the slope, is rise over run. So on our questions here, we have some black dots, right? You can see it right here and right here, okay? So what we're going to do is take this point, okay, and we are going to calculate how high it has to go up and how far it has to go across, okay? So we're going to go left to right just because that's easiest. So we're going to start right here, and we're going to put our fraction. Let's start with the rise. How many spots does this go up, right? So this goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? It goes up 7. And then how many does it go across? 1, 2, 3, 4. So our slope is 7 over 4. Okay. Now, next, let's look at number 2 here. And again, we're going to start left to right because that's easiest. So let's look at, so there should be, my printer didn't quite go through perfectly. There should be another line there. So we're going to go from left to right again. So we're going to go, how far are we going to go up and down? So we'll say we go 1, 2, 3 down. We're going 3 down, so it's negative. And then left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now this is not in lowest terms, so we're going to want to do that. So our actual answer should be negative 1 over 3. Okay, so now I'm going to show you why exactly the horizontal and the vertical lines are considered to be undefined or 0. Okay, so got our fraction. And we look here, and here's our 2 points. Now, what is the rise? How much does this go up by? Goes up by 0. And then it goes across your 2 points. It goes across by 4. So 0 divided by 4, which is 0. And then with this one, and how much do we go up by on this one? We go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how much do we move across? Well, that's 0. And what happens when we divide by 0? We get undefined. Okay, so right now what we're looking at for slope is we just need to pick 2 points that are on our line. Usually we like to pick nice points that are on an intersection. We pick those 2 points, and we just have to calculate how much do you go up versus how much do you go across. That is your rise over run. Okay, so here's a bunch of practice problems here for you. Okay, I want you to try these ones on your own, okay? So I'm not going to go through any of these ones. Again, this is kind of just repetition, so just got to try to do some practice, and you'll be able to get these down, okay? So try these ones. Pause the video, try these ones, and then once you've done these, unpause it, and we'll move on to the next piece, okay? So pause the video right now. All right, so once you finish these, we are now going to be talking about the slope formula. Okay, so a little bit more in depth on why does that rise over run work, right? You're picking those 2 points, and you are finding how much they go up and how much they go across. Now that's great if you have a graph that you can work off of, but what if we don't have a graph? What if we just have points? We just get told there's a line, and it goes through these points. What can we do? Well, we can say that our formula is m, because slope is m, and we're going to use y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1, where x2 and y2 would be your second point, and x1 and y1 would be your first point, right? So these are your 2 points, and all you're doing is you're finding the difference between them. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, let's do a couple examples here. So this is, common convention would be that your first one would be your x1, y1, and then this would be your x2, y2. So we would write m equals, and we're going to use y2, which is 3, y1, which is 1, x2, which is 4, and x1, which is 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. 4 minus 1 is 3. Our slope should be 2 over 3. Okay, I'll do a couple more here. So let's look at this one. M equals y2, which is negative 2, minus y1, and then x2 minus x1. Now, so we do have to pay attention to the double negatives that can happen here, right? So we'll go and we'll say minus 2 minus 4 is minus 6. 10 minus negative 2, that ends up canceling out. So it ends up being 10 plus 2, so we get 12. This is not in lowest terms, so we're going to make it negative 1/2. Okay, and do one more, and then the rest of them will be on your own, okay? So number 3, and m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Again, we've got that double negative thing happening here. So minus 5 minus 5, we've got minus 10. That's easy. Minus 8 minus 4, so that is going to be plus 4. So we get negative 4. And we can put this into lowest terms. The negatives are going to cancel out, and we end up with being able to take a 2 out. So we should get 5 over 2 is our final answer. Okay, so again, here's questions 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Please make sure to try those so that you understand them. And once you finish those, we'll look at the next piece. Okay, so sometimes in order to complete the ordered pair, you have to use the given slope. So in this case, I'm going to tell you what the slope is, and then you are going to be able to find the point that will make that work, okay? So this is the example. So we have this line, and we know that this line passes through -5, 6, and another point, 5, and a mystery variable, y. And we know that this slope is -4/5. Find y. So again, we know that m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we can just plug in our pieces here, right? So let's rewrite this as -4/5, because that's our m, equals, and then we're going to say that this is x2. So we've got y2 minus y1, which is 6, over x2 minus x1. So now we can just start to solve this, right? So 5 minus -5 is going to be +5, right? So we've got -4/5 equals y2 minus 6/10. And then all this is just moving stuff around, right? So we're going to multiply this 10 up here, and then we're going to add the 6 to that side. So if we multiply the 10 up top, right, this 5 is going to get canceled. We're going to get a 2 up top. So then we get -8 equals y2 minus 6. Then we can just add 6 to both sides, and we should get y2 equaling -2. Now, the nice thing about this, though, is that you can put that in, and you can use the slope formula, and as long as you get -4/5 on that, then you found the right point, okay? So I'll do one more here, and it's this one here, 13. So again, we know the slope is 2, and we know that we have, we're missing x2 here. So let's go through and put all this in. So we've got we've got +6 minus -2. So that's y2, y1. And then we've got x minus -3. Now the reason why I want to make this the x2 or the y2 is because if I make it the first term, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a -x, right? So you have to do an extra step of dividing out or multiplying out the -1. So which order you put them in really doesn't matter a whole lot. The slope is going to come out the same either way. So for the convenience of reducing the steps, I always put my unknown point as my second point so that I don't have that negative there. So we'll go through and solve this really quick. What we're going to have to do is basically, because it's now we're dealing with the x, we're actually going to have to flip this over. So we can do this by multiplying everything by or taking everything to the -1 power. If you remember that if we have something like 2 to the -1, this is the same as saying 1/2, right? So we can do that to this whole thing, and it flips everything, right? So we end up with 1/2 equaling x, and I'm going to cancel out that double negative right here. So x plus 3 over 6 plus 2, right? So again, you can flip them over. You can flip the fractions over, but you have to flip everything. So both the right and the left side have to get flipped like this. Now, this is going to equal 8. I'm going to multiply 8 to the top. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 4 equals x plus 3. Subtract the 3. And you get x equals 1, okay? So again, here's a couple more questions for you to do, 14 to 20, okay? These are more practice questions. Once you've got all that down, you feel comfortable with it, right? If you're stuck on any of these questions, please let me know, right? This is the practice. This is where you're supposed to get the help. And before you even start the homework, okay? So if you finish this and you're all good, then the homework is up for you. And that is it for this lesson, okay? The stuff is a little bit longer as we're kind of delving back into the new stuff. So the first couple of videos are going to be longer, okay? So thanks for bearing with me. Have a great day. Take care.